Hi, watch this.
This, I don't want to share it, is Amber's subconscious telling her not to lie. No, actually, it's Amber's subconscious still being a decent human, and also it's embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for me too. So fuck you, Rachel. Sit on and spin. Rachel was in the chat last night telling you not to lie. What the fuck? Okay. Well, thankfully I haven't lied about anything, huh?
Having spent the last few days spinning, as instructed, I've decided to come back in full force and analyse more of Amberlynn Reid's lies. The clip I just showed is technically accurate. The moment that Amberlynn went live, I went into her chat and I simply typed, "Whatever you do, Amber, just don't lie." And I did this because I knew that her lying would make this situation and everything relating to it much, much, much worse. And I hate to say I told you so, but I kinda did. When Mr. Snowflake posted this community tab and let everyone know that he would be talking to Emily, he specifically wrote this line for Amber. "Amber, I think you better make a quick video and sort your Rarity missing story out." So little did Mr. Snowflake know, but when he did this, he sparked one of the most valuable streams we've ever had from Amberlynn Reid, one for the history books, I would say. During that live, Amber admits that her first story of how Rarity got out, the one that she told us in this video here, where she stood in front of the sliding glass door in Emily's kitchen and explained how her poor little baby cat of 9 years had escaped due to a silly mistake of her own. This story was in fact completely fabricated. She then proceeded to tell a second story, one which contained more holes than a Swiss cheese, and in this video I'm going to argue that this story is also fabricated. Amber and Emily appear to be back together. There have been accusations of various things on both sides, and I'm finding it not hard to care, because I do care, but I can't tell without proof. I'm gonna need more proof to comment on that stuff. There are only actually two real valuable pieces of proof that have been given to us throughout this whole weekend, which are the screenshots from Emily of the conversation between herself and Amberlynn, and the photos that Amber has shown of Emily's arm. And both of those I'm going to analyse today in this video. For a good long time, I haven't been sure if I believed that Amber let Rarity out. I've very much sat on the fence. But now, having researched for this video and seen everything that we've all seen over the last weekend, I can confidently say, on balance, that Amberlynn Reid probably did do it, but whether she did it or not, I am certain that she is lying about it. I'm going to break down Amber's two versions of her story as to how Rarity got out, and I'm going to tell you what we've seen over the last few days, which has made me pretty damn certain that Amber is lying. I'm not certain that she let Rarity out. I think she probably did, but I am certain that she is lying in both versions of events. First, to lay some kind of groundwork, we're going to have a little look at Amberlynn's attitude towards lying. In a recent live, which followed Amber's initial breakdown live stream, Amber asks her audience why we care if she lies. Watch this.
Do you understand that you lied to your audience for months and you expect the chat to be nice to you? If you're upset with me for lying to protect someone, I'm sorry for upsetting you. But if you are upset with me because you just want to be dramatic, I don't care. I don't care. If you ever lied to me to... you're parasocial as fuck, first of all. Parasocial, whoa. Why do you care? Actually, why do you care that I protected someone, actually? Back to what I was saying. If you want to lie to me to protect someone that you love, like genuinely protect them because they're being blackmailed or whatever it may be, I wouldn't be mad at you. I wouldn't be mad at you. I wouldn't care.
I don't know if Amber was playing dumb or simply trying to avoid taking accountability when she asked this question, but I'm going to answer it for her with 3 reasons, and I'll do this quite quickly, but they're important. So the first reason why it matters if you lie to your audience is because of your reputation. Amber's reputation is already in tatters, but this does matter because she's a vlogger, and when you're a vlogger, you're a narrator of your own life. Your video is your medium, and basically you're a storyteller about the stuff that happens to you. It's your job to share share your life. So when it's proven that you have lied about what's been going on in your life, you invalidate not only your own content, but also your reputation. The second reason is that lying to your audience shows really poor character. Rather than have the difficult conversations or have to admit any kind of wrongdoing or take accountability, you lie to avoid having to do this. And in doing so, you avoid personal growth. I'm sure we've all heard the phrase learning from your mistakes, but if you never admit that you've made a mistake, then you're never going to learn from it. And the third reason that lying to your audience matters, Amber, is because your lies reveal you. It's ironic how in attempting to conceal something, Amber has in fact revealed a lot. This is because I think that people lie for a reason, and Amber would have us believe that she lies to protect people. She would have us believe that she's a sweet, benevolent friend, lover, daughter, YouTuber, who only ever lies in order to protect those that she loves. In fact, any lies that Amber has ever admitted to on her channel, she is always blamed on the fact that she was protecting somebody else or herself.
But if people think I'm nothing but a liar, then why are you watching? Have I lied to protect people that I love and care about? Yes, I have. But when it comes to me, I don't give a fuck. I literally have nothing to lose at this point.
Here we see Amber confidently state that she's happy to lie in order to protect people, and this is a narrative which is absolutely prevalent on Amber's channel. She thinks that lying is completely fine if you're doing it to protect someone else.
If you lie to protect someone you care about, why would anyone be upset about that? Because I would do the same. Good question. I think people get upset about things that they don't understand. They judge things that they don't understand. If anyone was in the situation, or few situations that I've been in, where I've had to like cover up for someone because I care about them, or tell a little lie because I care about them, like I feel like anyone would do that, or at least I hope they would, just out of respect for the person that they care about. You said for years that Destiny never cheated on you. Yes, because I was protecting her and I was protecting her feelings. That is who I am. When I care about someone and I love someone, whether it be friendship, relationship, whatever it may be, if I can protect them and their feelings and the way that people view them, yes. And I'm fucking so done surrounding myself with people that I have to protect.
But I rather think that Amber lies to protect herself. She lies to control the narrative around her and to put people off the scent of discovering other lies that she's told. So, after Mr. Snowflake made the community post where he told everyone that he'd been talking to Emily and he told Amber she needed to tell the truth about her Rarity story, Amber went live, and I clicked on the live and I started watching. I made a comment in her chat before I was muted, and I said something like, "Just don't lie, Amber, just tell the truth." And I did that because I knew that if she lied, it would make everything so much worse for her. Luckily for her and Emily are back together, so nothing else is going to be spilled for now, although I dare say more will come in the future. But the truth is that Amber would have been better off saying nothing than getting on a live and telling more lies like she did. Despite Amber claiming that every lie she's ever told has been to protect other people, this is a facade. In fact, every lie that she's ever told, in my opinion, has been to protect herself, or to control the narrative and manipulate how she comes across. Unfortunately, she isn't very good at this, so everyone has seen through it, hence her reputation. So Amber lies to protect herself. Got it. I think it's really important to establish this with proof so that when I go on to discuss the Rarity lies, you have it fresh in your mind that this is an individual who cannot be trusted. This is an individual who will say whatever needs to be said, including levelling false accusations against Emily to attempt to protect herself and deflect blame. I will now prove to you with hard evidence that Amber does in fact do this. The example I'll be using is Amber lying about the marks on Emily's arm. I'm using this because it is a palpable example with proven evidence of Amber lying about something that happened in order to make accusations against herself seem false. When Mr. Snowflake first teased that he had spoken to Emily, he did it in this video here where he said this.
She was going to marry Emily, and then she dug her fucking nails into Emily's skin and body slammed her.
I think Amber saw this clip and it made her nervous. Several other channels then went on to tease that they had also been told stuff, and then Mr. Snowflake dropped his community post. So Amber knew when she went live the first time that the nail marks were one of the things that Mr. Snowflake had been spoken to about. Amber addressed these nail marks, kind of, in her first ever live, the one that occurred before Mr. Snowflake's video had ever been made. It was called "We've Been in a Relationship the Whole Time." This was before Emily's version of events had come out. Here is how Amber first describes the altercation, which we went on to learn is the one that caused the nail marks.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was the night that Rarity happened. I'm telling you, it was the worst fight that we had for sure. I have a very bad habit, which I hate this part of me, and thankfully, like, I don't feel that heightened urgency anymore. Thank God. I get this feeling where, like, if I'm in an argument and they're trying to like leave, I'll like, how do I explain it? I'm just going to try to give an example. So we were in her room when this argument was happening, like, because it started in the truck, it went into the kitchen, then it went up into the room, and then down to the like it was like it just, all right. But at this point, we were in her bedroom, and she was trying to like leave the room while I'm like like I'm bawling. You guys thought I was bawling at the beginning of this live stream? No, it was a million times worse than that. So I'm like bawling, just like saying, I thought you loved me. How could you do this? And like, she just did not care. And she was trying to like go into the bathroom to like hide. And it's like, I'm the sort of person I want to like talk about it now. So I was following her also into the bathroom. I have a bad habit of like following, saying, don't leave the room. We need to talk about this. Like, that's a part that very bad part of me that I will say, and I'm 100% accountable in that. When I went to go walk into the bathroom, she kicked me. She kicked me really hard in my stomach, really hard. That is the only time that something like physical like that happened. And it was like right in my hernia, so that like really scared me. I will say that. And during that whole fiasco. So her room, like I'm not gonna lie, we both like have ADHD and ADHD piles. So her room would get like, she would have her pile of dirty clothes, and she also had a rug and like a huge dog bed, and then I had Twinkie's dog bed, so it was a very crowded place. And during in the frantic of it all, I remember I tripped over her rug, I landed into her. She fell on the ground. And I'm like, as that's happening, I'm trying to get her, like, as she's falling. I go to grab her off the ground. I will never forget this moment ever, because I'm telling you, I called my mom hysterical. So when I tripped over the rug and then I landed into her and she was falling, I went to grab her. It didn't work out very well. She still landed on the floor. And then she started like hysterically, how come you pushed me? I'm like, what is actually happening? So she like, I don't know. It was this whole fucking thing. And I was like, this cannot be real right now. This genuinely cannot, like, I have never been so gaslit into thinking that the sky was actually the ground and the ground was actually the sky.
That was long, but it's really key. Also note that Amber says in the clip I just showed you that this was the night that Rarity went missing. File this away for later. In this live, Amber never actually uses the word nails or nail marks or gouges or any of that. The following day, in her stream Get Ready With Me, which was also made before Mr. Snowflake's video came out, Amber is asked again about the nail marks, and she says this.
About digging the nails into the arm thing. Yeah, I talked about that already last night.
Amber says here that she talked about this last night, meaning the first stream that she did, but she never actually did. She did detail the falling story, but she never actually explicitly said that this is how the injuries to Emily's arm happened. As I've said, she doesn't use the word nail marks or dug or dig or any of that. She doesn't mention the marks at all. Then Mr. Snowflake's video went live and we saw this message from Emily. But the worst of the tantrums was actually the night before Rarity went missing. She saw me scrolling through my phone and there was women on my Instagram feed. She flipped out and said I was micro-cheating. The argument escalated really fast. That was the first time she got physical with me. She threw things at me. I told her I was going to leave the room. She then grabbed my arm and dug her nails into my arm to the point of drawing blood. I tried pushing past her to get through the doorway and she just pushed back into me and actually falling on top of me. Now let's look at Amber's second telling of this story, where Amber gives more detail of it from her point of view. This is after Mr. Snowflake's video.
That was the first time she got physical with me. She threw things at me. I told her I was going to leave the room. She then oh my God, this is the part where I actually videoed my mom because it's psycho. Wait until you guys hear this part. Whew. She then grabbed my arm and dug her nails into my arm to the point of drawing blood. I have a picture that she later deleted months later. Emily and I were fighting like, not physically, sorry. We're arguing, you know, the BPD tantrums coming out of me. She's stonewalling. She don't give a fuck. Like, she doesn't care. She did all these bad things. She does not give a fuck at all. And her room, I've talked about this in live stream, it's cluttered. It has, you know, dirty clothes pile. It has this fucking rug that constantly flips and this and that. There's 2 huge dog beds. One's Twinkies, one's her dogs. Like, it's a mess. I end up tripping over the fucking rug. I'm going to like fall. Instead, my body goes onto her. She falls. I grab her arm because that's my instinct, was to grab her. That was like my first instinct, was to just grab her. So you know what she does? Oh my God. She takes a picture of her arm. I think it was, I don't know, an hour later. While she's in her car, she takes a picture of her arm and she sends it to me. Okay? Keep in mind, she's wearing a short sleeve. The picture of her arm shows nothing. It shows nothing. The fact that she says grabbed my arm to the point of drawing blood is crazy, because I have the pictures, which she later deleted months later. And I'll tell you why. It was 2 days later. We're now arguing about the argument that we had 2 days prior. You know, you're hurting. It's not going to go away in 2 days. She ends up leaving the house again. That's what she does. And she ends up sending, oh my God, you guys are never going to believe it. She ends up sending me a picture of her arm with these nail marks that are like so like deep. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, well, I'm literally on the phone with my mom, bawling. And I'm sending my mom these screenshots because Emily's in the car and we're like going at it in the messages. And I'm like, Mom, I think Emily just faked nail marks. And my mom's like, what are you talking about? Show me. I end up sending my mom the original from the night where I grabbed her when she was falling, the original picture in a message where Emily's wearing a short sleeve shirt and you see nothing. You see nothing. Emily literally faked nail marks in a different shirt on a different day, took the picture as if it was the same fucking day. I took screenshots because I was like, what am I looking at right now? She is trying to get a situation to look like something that it wasn't.
So there Amber is, saying what happened and, crucially, accusing Emily of faking these marks. Amber gets very, very, very gleeful and cocky. She does tongue pops and acts, frankly, insufferable. And Amber claims that Emily left the house, got in her car where she took a photo of her arm and sent it to Amber. Amber claims you can't see anything in this photo. That's not true. You can. I'll put this first photo here. This is the first photo that Amber received according to her. Amber spends several minutes being what she describes as Boomer Reid because she can't work out how to show us these photos, but we finally do get there.
The faked arm thing was fucking wild to me. Well, I have the original, which is a good thing because it goes to show that there was no fucking blood. What a liar. Oh my God. Wait. Holy shit. Okay, hold on. I'm having like a literal general moment right now. Bitch, I figured it out. Oh my God, suck my ass. I've never been more excited in my life. So I'm going to show you the first photo that she sent me. This is her arm. Keep in mind, she's wearing a maroon shirt. And then look at what she sends me a couple days later. This is from a few days later. Keep that in mind. In this photo, you're going to see these weird marks that she created herself. She is wearing a completely different shirt. You're going to see it. It's like a black type of deal. And she creates these marks. Completely different day. She fakes nail marks days later.
I'm not gonna get into her attitude and how she can possibly be excited about this and how weird and suspicious that is because I haven't got time. But Amber is adamant here. Absolutely adamant that she's caught Emily in a lie. Okay, I said I wouldn't talk about her attitude, but I am going to touch on it. The fact that she is so giddy and cocky and excited and happy about this is so weird. Think about the context of it. You're claiming that you have evidence that your ex-partner fabricated proof of you physically harming them, and you're doing tongue pops and you're excited and giddy and happy as fuck as you tell this story. It's just so strange. Amber says that Emily sent her this first photo on the 17th and then 2 days later, 2 whole days later, claims that Emily sent her a second photo in which the marks were a lot worse, and that in this second photo, these marks had been recreated by Emily worse than the initial marks were, and Amber claims that Emily did this to make her look bad. So if you look at photo number 1, that's this one here with the maroon shirt, according to Amber, this is the first photo she received. And at the top of this picture here, you can see the date, November 17th, which is the day Rarity went missing at 4:25 a.m. Note also that Amber claims you can see nothing in this photo, which if you look, this is objectively incorrect. You can see something. There's bruising or a mark of some kind. Then, here is the second photo, which Amber claims was sent by Emily 2 days later, as you've just heard. So these are the two photos next to each other. But, crucially, clocked by Milky Chai during this live stream, you can see that the second photo, which Amber claims was taken days later, in this photo, the date is clearly visible at the top of the screen and it shows 17th of November at 9:41. This means that contrary to what Amber said, these two photos were taken on the same day. So all this giddiness and excitement from Amberlynn about having proven Emily wrong is completely misplaced. In fact, all she's done is proven herself to be an absolute liar. We can also compare the mark placement on these two photos. Obviously, it's a different angle, but you can see that mark, I would argue, is in the same place. So when we hear Amber say this,
Emily literally faked nail marks in a different shirt on a different day, took the picture as if it was the same fucking day.
she's lying. In fact, as she's speaking and she's going, this is a completely different day, you can see the date in the photo showing that no, it's exactly the same day. This is absolute proof that Amber is telling a lie. And in my opinion, Amber needs to address this right now, but of course she won't, because she has nothing to say for herself, because she will never admit to lying, and if she tries to cover this up, she's only going to lie further and put herself in more of a hole. So mark my words that just like her non-existent BPD diagnosis, she will never address this. All this to say, who is Amber protecting with this lie? No one. She isn't protecting anyone. She's lashing out. She's trying to protect herself from accusations by lashing out, and that is key. Amber will lie to lash out at somebody who she feels is threatening her. Also, as if we even needed further proof, but we do have some now, somebody asked Emily to confirm this on Instagram, and this was Emily's response. The person says, okay, cool, but I'm stuck on the screenshots she showed us, both dated November 17th, but she's claiming you sent her one of these days later and faked the marks on your arms. Something tells me you didn't fake that. And Emily writes, I didn't fake any photo. They were taken the same day, a few hours apart. The first shortly after it happened, and the second later during my break at work. God bless the individual who asked these questions. So we can conclude from this that despite Amber's best attempts, she will lie for reasons other than protecting other people. I know I am hammering this point home and I'm preaching to the choir right now, but it's important that we establish Amber's willingness to lie with real hard proof so that she can't wriggle out of this next bit. So now on to Rarity. The Rarity story is infamous. It was the one that was told in these two videos here. First, Amber posted My Heart is Broken, which was only 5 minutes long, where she gave us the kind of like basic rundown of what happened to Rarity. I, like many other people, found this video suspicious and performative. Then Amberlynn made her case even worse when she posted a second video, which she titles The Truth, which is, with hindsight, extremely ironic. This is where she stands in front of the glass door, which is in Emily's kitchen, by the way, like opposite the fridge in the kitchen, and she explains what happened to Rarity.
When it happened, it was 5 a.m. Yes. And this is closed. When I closed this door, I thought I closed the door. It seemed like I did. I was half asleep with a million things on my mind. And this is how far I left it open. Like, a lot of people were confused saying that I leave the door open for the dogs to go outside. No, it happened after the dogs came back inside. And the only reason why I noticed is because the spot you guys always see me sitting in is literally right here. So after I let the dogs back in, I was just doing things around the house. It was like 20 minutes later. I sat down in the chair and I felt like a super cold breeze. And I was like, that's weird. And then I put 2 and 2 together. I came over here. It's like I said, these were closed. I opened these. I like peeked around the corner and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And then that's when I knew. That's when I knew.
So now watching this later, knowing for an absolute fact that Amber is lying, this is very, very interesting, and it gives us some insight into her tells, which I'm sure will come handy in the future. We don't need to prove that that is a lie because Amber has already admitted that it was a lie. But some of what Amber says in that video does go on to be revealing, so that's why I've showed it to you. As for story 2, this came out in the live stream she did before Mr. Snowflake's video. Amber preambles for like genuinely 5 minutes, giving context and making excuses about how she was betrayed by the feeder, who she knew was a feeder from the beginning, which is another lie that she gets caught in over this weekend. And she argues that none of this is her fault because of her undiagnosed BPD, which is of course a fantastic excuse for bad behaviour and by no means further stigmatises an already stigmatised diagnosis. More on that in another video. But Amber talks and talks and fucking talks, and she lands on this.
So we get in a big fight. I'm telling you, it was off the chain. It was big. So the argument was so fucking bad that I think it was like 5 a.m. or something. I don't even know. She ended up leaving her home through the kitchen door, which is the sliding glass door. She left. And my favorite part of this whole thing is she likes to say that you guys see me. I'm over 500 pounds. I walk very slow. Like, I'm a slow mover, okay? We get in a really fucking bad argument. She leaves through the glass door, leaves the door open. I did not notice because I did not go near the door. I did not go near the door. I was sitting at the kitchen table waiting for her to come home. And that's when I noticed the cold breeze. I noticed the cold breeze. Literally left the fucking door open. And she booked it so fast she didn't even close the door. I felt the cold breeze. Okay. In my brain, I was thinking, like, it was just a lot. It was just a lot. In my brain, I was thinking, there's no way Rarity got out. We're good. It's like one of them things. Like, Tommy's house is huge. Cats went everywhere. I was thinking Rarity didn't even notice. It was the next day when I was like, something really just does not seem right. Like, I haven't seen Rarity all day. And I'm thinking, oh my god, I've been taking the blame this whole fucking time.
So that is her new revised storyline, which she gives before Emily's texts have ever been shown by Mr. Snowflake. Now, there are huge problems and massive holes in this story. The first is my firm belief that if Emily was leaving during a fight, Amber was almost certainly following her and therefore would have seen that Emily left the back door open. You'll notice in the clip that I just played, Amber is describing Emily leaving and she says this. I think it was like 5 a.m. or something, I don't even know. She ended up leaving her home through the kitchen door, which was the sliding glass door. She left, and my favourite part of this whole thing is she likes to say it was, you guys see, I'm over 500 pounds. I walk very, very slow, like I'm a slow mover, okay? That was verbatim what she said. So she says that Emily left through the sliding glass door, and then she immediately explains that she's 500 pounds and that she walks really slowly. Now ask yourself, why does Amber conflate these two occurrences? Why? When discussing Emily leaving through the kitchen door, does her mind then immediately go to explaining that she, Amber, is a slow mover? Why is it relevant at all that Amber moves slowly when she's explaining about Emily going out of the back door? Think about it. Why is there a correlation between Emily quickly moving towards the back door and Amber being a slow mover?
She ended up leaving her home through the kitchen door, which is the sliding glass door. She left. And my favorite part of this whole thing is she likes to say that you guys see me. I'm over 500 pounds. I walk very slow. Like, I'm a slow mover, okay?
I think that this is an instance of Amber's conscience revealing herself by accident. I think it's because Amber was following Emily. And if in fact she was following Emily, then she would have seen Emily leaving the back door open, meaning she would have then closed it, thus invalidating her second story. It's worth mentioning this again here. I did mention this in my reaction, so sorry to those of you who've already heard me say this, but I'll make it quick. Amber wants to make out that she's this massive, immobile 500-pound person who can't really move to follow Emily around the house at any kind of speed. But during her trip to Wisconsin, in fact just 2 weeks after Rarity went missing, Amber includes this clip in a vlog.
See, I can run, folks.
So how believable is it that Amber wasn't able to follow Emily into the kitchen when she left. And if this coincidence in Amberlynn's speech isn't enough for you, that's fine. Consider this. Throughout these live streams, Amber has made it abundantly clear that she pursues Emily during fights.
I'm very like, let's attack this right now and get this argument done and over with so we can just love each other. And she was trying to like go into the bathroom to like hide. And it's like, I'm the sort of person, I want to like talk about it now. So I was following her also into the bathroom. I have a bad habit of like following, saying, don't leave the room. We need to talk about this. Like, that's a very bad part of me that I will say.
Amber makes it clear here. She doesn't leave fights. She pursues the person she's fighting with. She stands in doorways and stops the other person leaving. Amber admits that she will follow you around the house to maintain the fight. So the likelihood that she's fighting with Emily and Emily's getting really, really annoyed and wants to leave and goes to leave, and Amber decides at that point, oh no, I'm going to completely change my MO and I'm not going to follow Emily. I'm going to be in a different room and just allow her to leave and not pursue her to continue the conversation. The likelihood of that occurring is very slim, meaning again that Amber probably was following Emily and thus would have seen her leave and then would have known that the door was open, closed the door, ergo no cats get out. And Amber tells on herself again anyway, because when she's telling us about the fight in the second version of her story, Amber says this.
We were in her room when this argument was happening, like, because it started in the truck, it went into the kitchen, then it went up into the room, and then down to the like it was like it just.
So here we hear Amber say of this very fight, the one which occurred before Rarity went missing, where she grabs Emily's arm and makes these marks and Emily leaves out of the back door. Amber says, and you've just heard it, that fight went from the truck to the kitchen to the bedroom and then back down to the oh wait, Amber stops herself. We hear her stop as she's saying it.
It went into the kitchen, then it went up into the room, and then down to the like it was like it just.
Because by this point in the live stream, 1 hour and 28, she has already claimed that she didn't see Emily leaving, that she wasn't near the back door. So she stops herself when she's describing the fight from this place to this place to this place to the bedroom back down to the She can't say kitchen because the kitchen is where the back door is. So if she was completing the fight in the kitchen just before Emily left, she would have seen Emily leave the back door open. Also, now this might be too nitpicky for some of you, and I will admit that. You might listen to me say this and think, nah, that's too nitpicky. And I'll understand if you think that, but I'm going to include it because I thought it was at least interesting. When Amber explains how Emily left, we hear Amber say she ended up leaving her home through the kitchen door. Now note this use of the phrase ended up. Amber uses this, I think, when she doesn't want to take accountability for something. Amber does use it on other occasions, and I'd be lying if I said that she didn't use it in other occasions as well. She does. But I think that it could be distancing language. She's trying to avoid admitting her fault in something. If you say something ended up happening, then you didn't cause it, it just ended up happening. For example, when Amber didn't want to accept responsibility for having phone sex with a man.
He ended up calling me.
When she tried to convince us that she had the same DoorDasher twice, even though that had never happened before.
He ended up being my DoorDasher again.
When her fictitious friend was looking up Mr. Snowflake's information to try and dox him.
My friend ended up going down a rabbit hole.
When she had to try and act like she didn't steal Beck's inheritance because they had a joint bank account.
I ended up going on their bank account together, so we were joint bank accounts.
When she was trying to make excuses for why she hadn't started DBT therapy when she was in Wisconsin and her undiagnosed BPD was causing her issues.
I ended up calling and I asked if they did DBT, but turns out no.
You can't blame me for being a little bit suspicious when this phrase Emily ended up leaving out of the back door is heard. It makes me wonder, did ALR have something to do with this turn of events? Perhaps she was blocking the front door. I think it's odd that Emily even left out of the back door, and it would make sense to me if Amber was somehow involved in causing that to happen, which is why she says it ended up happening. And if that's true, that suggests that Amber was on that floor and would have either seen Emily leave and leave the door open or felt the cold breeze. I'm not saying it's absolute fact, but I'm saying it's a bit dodgy. And also, you could go for the very, very, very simple argument that Emily's lived in that house for many years. She has a dog. She would not leave a back door open. She just wouldn't. If what I've already said is not enough, Then there's also this second hole in Amber's story. Amber claims in her story that she didn't notice that the back door was left open for hours. We know because of the arm screenshot that Emily had left the house by 4:25 a.m. And Amber says that she didn't notice that Rarity was missing until the next day. Amber says that she sat at the table waiting for Emily to come home, and that's when she feels the cold breeze and realises the back door is open. But Emily works a 12-hour shift. So if she's waited until a reasonable time to imagine that Emily would come home, that would be at least 12 hours after Emily's shift started. So that would mean that Amber hadn't been into the kitchen for 12 whole hours, because you're not going to sit there waiting for your partner to come home much before the end of their shift time. So that would suggest that she hadn't been in the kitchen and hadn't let the dogs out that entire time. So even if we accept Amber's story, we have to also accept that, first of all, Emily was telling the truth in this screenshot when she said that Amber would never let the dogs out, and we have to accept that Amber is an awful pet parent, which of course we already know is true. So that timeline is suspicious and weird. But on top of all of that, Amber then describes how she noticed that the back door was open, but she assumed all was fine.
It was just a lot. In my brain, I was thinking, there's no way Rarity got out. We're good. Like, Tommy's house is huge. Cats went everywhere. I was thinking Rarity didn't even notice.
So in story 2, as you've just heard, Amber sees the back door was left open because she's waiting for Emily to get home from work. She feels this cold breeze, and then she notices the door's open, but she thinks nothing of it. In this version of events, she just assumes that Rarity is in the house. Notice as well that she says it's Rarity who she thinks is in the house, not just all the pets. Because of course at this point, she doesn't know which animal's gone missing. But she says here, I looked at the back door and assumed Rarity was in the house. Well, what about all the other animals? But on top of this, in story 1, Amber claims, Kate McCann styley, that she sees the back door is open and she just knows. She just knows that the cat is gone immediately.
I like peeked around the corner and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And then that's when I knew. That's when I knew.
So which is it? Are you the kind of person who sees an open door and immediately knows your pet is gone? Or are you the kind of person who sees an open door and assumes that the cats were fine? She claims that she didn't notice that Rarity was missing until the next day. This also makes no sense because Amber regularly claims that Rarity is always with her. In the second video Amber made, the one where she lies about her first Rarity story, this video here, Amber says this.
She just like followed me everywhere, literally everywhere. No matter what room I was in, no matter what I was doing, she was there. So in vlogging moments, you guys saw that because she was always there. Like she just was attached to my hip.
So it sounds like Rarity's quite a clingy cat. We also know that Beck said this about Rarity too. In this video here, Beck says,
Rarity was like my little shadow. Toward the end, she followed me everywhere I went.
We also have evidence of Emily claiming that Rarity would be with them at bedtime because Rarity would always sleep on Emily's chest. And even Amber says this in her video The Truth. Amber includes this clip of Rarity in bed with them. So this story that Amber waited for Emily to get home from work, which was after the fight on the 17th, she sat at the table, felt the cold breeze, closed the door, thought nothing of it, and then the next day realised Rarity was missing. This suggests that there could have been a night of sleep without Rarity. But once again, of course, and I've spent a long time looking at this timeline, I think that Amberlynn is confusing the timeline on purpose. Somebody asks Amber about this in her live stream, and Amber says this.
It wasn't a full 24 hours. So we were awake 5 a.m. and that's when that whole thing went down. And then when I said the next day, it's because I went to sleep, I would say probably around 6 a.m. I woke up at 9 a.m. I literally only got like 3 hours that day. And that's my version of it's the next day because I finally woke up.
But if we compare these two stories, in the Get Ready With Me clip, Amber says she went to sleep at 6 a.m, woke up at 9 a.m, and considered that the next day. But if that was the case, she would have woken up at 9 a.m, had the majority of the day, and then sat at the dining room table, noticed the breeze, at which point she says the following day she realised Rarity was missing. So even with that version of her story, it still sounds to me like she's adding another day in there. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm just straight up confused by that. But then, after all of this, all of these inconsistencies, all of these reasons to think that Amber is lying, somebody asks Amber to explain why she's lying about Rarity. And this is what Amber says.
Explain the proof you lied about E letting R out. I did not lie about E letting R out. I will literally take that to my grave or to my cremation or to wherever the fuck I go once I pass on. I swear on everything and everyone.
How convenient. All of a sudden, foodie beauty style, when holes have been picked in her story, she suddenly won't address it and suddenly wants to take it to her grave. This intense look that we see on Amber's face when she says she swears on everyone and everything that she's not lying, this just feels to me like a desperate person trying to make people believe her. She was willing to spill and spill and spill this story when she was trying to slander Emily and make out that Emily let Rarity out. But when she's pushed on it, and when her facts are checked and her lies are exposed and her timelines are compared using her own words, suddenly she doesn't want to speak about it again. And of course, as always, not very much proof has been shown. Amber's made all kinds of claims and shown basically no proof. The only piece of proof that she has shown shows that she's a liar, and the proof that Emily has shown also shows that Amber is a liar. You'll notice in this video that I have really tried to nail down and analyse Amber's story, but the truth is that I think that this story has been intentionally convoluted. I think the waters have been purposely muddied by Amber to make this story hard to follow because it's not true. It's my opinion that the truth is usually simple. Convoluted stories are usually a lie. I'm going to pull here on another philosophical principle, which you guys have all probably heard of. It's called Occam's razor. It was created by William Occam in the 14th century. Occam was a scholastic philosopher, and he famously said, plurality should not be posited without necessity. And basically what that means is, when you're looking at a situation, you give precedence to simplicity. If there are two competing theories, the one with the most simple explanation is the most likely to be true. If we apply Occam's razor to this situation, in order to believe Amber's second story, we have to also believe that a cat who was glued to Amber's hip suddenly wasn't around and Amber didn't notice. Emily, a person who has dogs, would leave her own back door open. Amber didn't feel the cold breeze of the frigid Wisconsin morning, which I've checked and it was really cold. And that not only did Amber not feel this breeze, but she didn't feel this breeze for multiple hours. We also have to believe that when Amber saw the back door was open, she assumed her cats were totally fine. And we would also have to believe that Amber, who admits herself that she will not let a fight go and that she will stop you from leaving the room and follow you around the house, did, on this one random occasion, leave Emily alone long enough so that she could leave the house without Amber following her, which is the only way that she could have left that back door open without Amber noticing. And, above all else, we have to believe, with lots and lots of evidence to the contrary, that Amberlynn Reid is telling the truth, which is a very hard thing to believe. If we apply Occam's razor here, it's far more simple and far more likely to accept that Amber's lying. And it's not simple to believe because I'm a nasty, hateful reaction channel who's got a malicious intent to ruin Amber's life. It's because throughout the dramas of the weekend, Amber admitted to many lies, so believing that Amber is lying is significantly more likely than believing all of the things I've just said. What we don't know is why she's lying. I think it's to cover the fact that she in fact did let Rarity out on purpose in an attempt to manipulate Emily into letting her stay. And this looks so likely because if you look at the texts that Amber was receiving from Emily at the time, I analysed these a little bit more in this ridiculously long video, but you can see that Amber is being told to leave. She's asking Emily for another chance and Emily says no, and then we see her say that Rarity's missing. We even see her try and say that Princess, Emily's cat, is missing, but then she goes back on that, and I think that this is very suspicious. A lot of people have suggested that maybe Amber put Rarity and Princess outside, and Rarity, not knowing the area and being freezing cold, ran off, whereas Princess, who knew that this was her home, stayed and ended up coming back inside. We cannot hide from how bloody suspicious this whole thing is. Also, in these texts, we see Amber say this line in her text to Emily: I didn't go to the back porch. Why would Amber say that? In fact, Amber claims that when she's texting Emily about Rarity being missing, she has already noticed that the back door was open. So in fact, she has been to the back porch because she shut the door. So rather than doing what a normal person would do, which is texting their partner and say, shit babe, you left the back door open, according to Amber, she sees the back door is open, shuts the back door, tells Emily that Rarity's missing without mentioning Emily leaving the back door open, and then lies and says that she hasn't even been to the back porch, which is exactly where she just was when she shut the door and realised that Rarity was missing. This story does not make any fucking sense. So, as I said at the start of the video, we can't prove beyond a doubt that Amber let Rarity out on purpose. But I think that we can prove, and I think that I have proved in this video, that Amber is absolutely lying in both accounts of her Rarity going missing story. And I can't help but ask myself, why lie? Why? What is she hiding? She's not protecting anyone by making up an incoherent story. In fact, in this incoherent story, she's not protecting Emily, she's blaming Emily. It does not look good. I suspect, and this is alleged, and I don't have any proof, but I suspect that Amberlynn knows exactly what happened to Rarity. I think that all of this drama and all of these lies are the scramblings of a desperate individual who is trying so hard to hide what she did. I'd love to know what you guys think. Sorry if I was a bit angry and militant in this video. It's just that it took me so long to piece all of this together, and I'm so very sad and upset for that poor little cat, and I'm frankly just raging that this even happened. Regardless, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate everyone who sent me various bits of information, clips and evidence for this video. Thank you all for your support and kind words on my previous video, and yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hi. I had some requests to show Molly, who is my dog. So this is Molly. She's just had a bath, so she's very fluffy curly. Oh, look at her. She's so tiny. Oh, you're so tiny, Molly. She's not really playing ball right now because you can't see her face. Oh, big yawn. Oh, look at the camera, Molly. Who's that? Who's that? Anyway, I thought I'd just show you guys her because you haven't seen her in a while. Oh, she's so fluffy. She is a tiny precious baby and the absolute light of my life. I just wanted to show you guys her because she is the sweetest angel child in the entire universe, and I thought you might like to see her. Okay, we're off to be super good girls. Molly's gonna have a biscuit and I'm gonna edit this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Say bye. Yeah, she's not gonna say shit all. She's a dog, so obviously.